Come on in. My name's Siobhan. We are letting folks join us, connecting to audio. Da, 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 da. Hi. Hello, hello. Come on in. Hi, everyone. Hi, hi, hi. I see all kinds of people. Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Miranda. Hi, hi. I have your mics muted just to keep the chaos, the sound and the fury. But I see people already using the chat box, which I love. Hello, hello. Hi, Kevin. Hi, David. We've got Charles. We have Kate. Hello, Kate. Nice to see you. Hi. Cool. I'm just like bringing the people. This is so fun. Holy moly. Come on in. Okay. Hi, Charles. Marvelous. Some people are already utilizing the chat box, which is fabulous. That's the best way to kind of speak until oh, Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. Nice to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
It's nice to see people.
I know it feels normal.
Yay!
This is normal. Hi, Ellen. Come on in. Okay. Oh, I love seeing people's home studios. Hi, Dawn. Okay, and I'm bringing in the friends. Okay, Bruce from Philly. What is up, Bruce? Hello, hello. Okay, this is really great. We're giving a few minutes. I come from the theater tradition where things never really start fully on time. That's not how David operates, but it's how I operate. So I like to give people a chance to get here, so come on in. Hi, Steve. Your home studio looks great. Look at you, rocking. Lynn, heck yeah, theater backgrounds. All right, George Lucas. You have a theater background? You are my kind of person. Okay. Marvelous. This is fabulous. Hello from Ottawa. Yes. Cool. You guys, this is super fun. We've got 51 people. I am letting people into the waiting room as we go, out of the waiting room and into the studio, as it were. Hi. Okay. Come on in. Great. Wow, this is amazing. We have 52 beautiful people in here. So if anybody's never used, oh my gosh, you guys are already doing it. I feel like we've been on Zoom for a couple weeks now, right? So that's probably really real. I like to use the gallery mode, but that's just how I like to do things. My name is Siobhan. It's 1:04. I think we can kind of get started. There's nobody in the waiting room, so hello. My name is Siobhan. I am the social media community liaison person at Edge Studio. And I also love being a socialite and talking to folks. And so this is like my jam. I love that everybody's already using the chat box to talk. Isolation in your pajamas. Hello. Okay, Madison. Great. The chat box is fabulous. You guys are already doing it. If you're totally new to Zoom, I can kind of get you started. I like speaker view. If you hover to your right corner, you can use speaker view or gallery mode. I like the gallery mode because I can kind of see everybody. You do not have to have your cameras on. It makes me feel like we're all hanging out, which is a little more normalizing for me. If you've got stuff going on and you want to keep your camera off, that is no problem. If you'd like to just see who's talking, you can use speaker, and so I will be highlighted here, and then David will be as well, so you can see him. But it's kind of fun to be on gallery. That's how I like to do things. The chat box is here too. It should be to your right. If it is not yet, you can kind of, on your bottom menu, you will see the chat that you can press, and then there it is. And people are already chiming in, talking about where they're from, and that's great. And that kind of, the chat box is how you can keep communicating with each other, pitching questions. We have our mics muted so that if people have been in Zoom for the past 3 weeks, when everybody, oh God, it just hurts your ears and is chaos. So this is how we're keeping it a little more organized. But as we get into discussion and when you start to talk, I will unmute you and you'll be able to, I'll use that power to allow you to speak. So what is up, my people in Virginia? It's totally okay to not have a webcam. We still love you, Scott. So don't feel bad. But this is great. Thank you all so much for coming. So we are here because we just want to get together. We want to be able to still have some semblance of community and normalcy in a time that feels a little bit like that's hard to have. And so one way we wanted to do that is to just host these kind of hangout sessions where we can just talk about things voiceover, and we can do that with David, our Chief Edge Officer, who launched Edge Studio over 30 years ago. So there's David. He's waving.
Hello.
And so thank you all so much for coming. And I feel like we can get started. I'll let people in as things go on if people are kind of still filing in. But I think, all right, our waiting room is empty and we're all here. So great. So David, let's begin. What is up? How are you?
Well, let's not begin with me. Let's begin with you guys. Hello, everyone. And I'm looking at all of the messages coming into the Zoom group chat, and two stand out. These are terrific quotes. Siobhan, I'm not sure what you can do with these, but one person wrote, and you read this one, "I don't have video because I'm in isolation and in my pajamas." That is a great quote. Someone else wrote, and I love this, "I built a tower with 17 gigabytes of storage, but I don't have a webcam." Oh, well. Really funny stuff coming in, guys. It's great that there's a sense of humor when we are all sort of isolated and in our living rooms or wherever we are at the moment. Some cool studios. I have 3 pages of people here. I'm looking at everyone's setup. It's very fun. So yeah, Siobhan, thanks for the setup, and thank you all for being here. This is our Ask Me Anything. And as Siobhan mentioned, it's a great opportunity for us at Edge to keep the community, keep the voiceover community up and alive and sparkling. And so Ask Me Anything was Siobhan's idea. This is our second one. And Siobhan, you lead the way.
Yeah, so basically I'm gonna let more people in from the waiting room. This is wild. We got 60 people. So all right. I was wondering to myself, I think I talked about this last time. I'm like, are voice actors in fact introverts or extroverts? That's the question I think we're all gonna discover in the next couple of weeks when we're in our booths alone. And now we're like, oh, am I kind of missing social interactions? It's a good day in Houston. Hi, Amy. I love Houston. What a fun intro extras. George, I feel you. So basically, yeah, let's just kind of get some VO. It's embarrassing. My tower has 10. No webcam, phone modem. New York State wants me to send a fax. So I kind of want to, our aim here is we're in quarantine, isolation, social distancing, all of those things all across everywhere. And our aim here is to kind of try to keep our spirits lifted, and we can talk about our struggles and what we're going through, and also about how to motivate ourselves and keep it going, which is why I wanted David to be here, to be available to y'all, to just ask any questions that you might have regarding your voiceover career and the industry itself, so that we can kind of keep ourselves motivated and energized despite this maybe potential dread we're feeling at the same time. And so Jeff says, I'm a strange performer. I like to be heard and not seen. So I would say extrovert, but also private. That's a legit combination. Heard but not seen. And I feel like that kind of suits a lot of voice actors who might feel that way too. So I guess I'll just kind of get us started, and I'm gonna ask David some stuff that might maybe perk some questions you might have to him. And what we did last time is we utilized the chat box to sort of ask some questions, and then people kind of would respond, and I'll sort of just help moderate through the facilitation of the mics and the muting and not muting and things like that to keep us going, so we can just have an active conversation. And so David, what I want to ask you, one of the things I was thinking about is, I feel like, and we talked a little bit about this last time, but in terms of home studio is more important than ever right now. And I don't know, people are probably at various stages in their home studios who have joined us today. And so, and David listens to, he approves all of our demos. He approves people's auditions. He works a lot in our casting and production at Edge. And so I'm curious as to what are some of the things that you listen for most when you hear people recording from their home studio? What are the most important elements, would you say, in that?
Yeah, so great question. Certainly when we're casting someone, we're looking for a specific voice, whether it's the gender, the age, the accent, the language, the variety of voice. But outside that, I would say by far the thing that we most listen for in someone's demo is a natural read, a read without vocal tension. So when we get voice actors, when we hear voice actors who are straining their voice, they're out. That we don't include them in our library, and that's for a few reasons. Number one, 9 out of 10 times, probably 99 out of 100 times, a strained voice sounds strained. It doesn't sound real. And as everyone on this call should know, one of the key elements of being a successful voice actor is sounding natural. So if you're straining your voice, you don't sound natural. But beyond that, if you strain your voice, you're less likely to be able to get through a long form narration because your voice will give out. And a year down the road, if we have a pickup on that particular project, you may not be able to strain your voice and sound the same again, and so you won't be able to provide a pickup. So, yeah, we look for just someone who trusts their natural voice. They read within what's natural for they read in the wheelhouse that's natural for them. That's critical. There's so many people on my screen. I'm still looking around, and I'm being conscious now of like looking to the left and looking to the right, all of these cool home studios, but it's really fun to check out. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Actually, I wanna jump on top of that with my friend Jeremy. He's saying that he just set up his home studio for VO. Congratulations, Jeremy, and good work. And he's asking, where should I be able to find union voiceover projects? Because he is a SAG-AFTRA member. So what is a good place to begin that journey?
Yeah, agents are well. Going back to sort of what I spoke about a moment ago, it's really key to focus on what you do naturally well, right? I don't. I'm one to. I'm sidetracking here, but this sidetrack will, I think, be pertinent to the answer to the second question, Siobhan. So I've come across so many voice actors who feel that they have to provide the most variety they possibly can on their demo. They think that the more variety they add on their demo, the more likely they are to get work. And I can understand that, but also once you start pushing your variety into places which are not natural, then you don't sound natural and you get no work. So I guess the point of this quick sidetrack is you don't have to be everything to everyone. That is critical. You don't need to be everything to everyone. And with that said, you ask a question about where to find union work. My initial response was agents, but that's if you're looking for commercial work. But not every union member is looking for commercial work. Most of them I found are. But you may be looking for in-show broadcast narration, like documentary and reality TV shows, and the voiceover in reality TV shows, and then you need to go to production companies. I would imagine that. Oh, wait, we just got an interesting question on that. Oh no, that's someone saying that they're SAG-AFTRA member. Oh, that's a different. Never mind. If this was not live, I would just delete those last 30 seconds when I got sidetracked by someone's question.
Don't
I
worry,
can't.
I'll take care of it. You keep
So,
going.
yeah, but anyway, so understanding what genre of work you're looking for, or genres, and going after SAG-AFTRA work, union work rather, in the appropriate places. So yeah, if you're looking for commercial work, I think you'll do well through agents. If you're looking for documentary and in-show broadcast, also known as broadcast narration work, then you may be better going directly to the production houses. Certainly, I would go to recording studios for any genre of union work, because a lot of recording studios focus on union work. And there's still, let me say this differently, You'll read a lot of articles and hear from a lot of voice actors that there's very little union work out there. That's not really the case. There's certainly less than there used to be, but there's still a fair amount of union work out there. And if you speak with a union voice actor, they will, of course, say, oh, all the work is union work, because that's what they see in their world. Whereas if you speak with a non-union voice actor, they'll say, oh, no, 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 all of the work is non-union. Well, that's because that's what they typically see in their world. There is a fair amount of both. I do believe there's much more, significantly more non-union work these days. Last thing I would say to that question is that you can find some union work on the online casting sites. Not nearly as often as you find non-union work, but there's some union work on the online casting sites.
And I think it actually applies to, because Renee was asking if it's possible to be successful in voiceover without being SAG-AFTRA. And
Oh, yes.
yes, there's so many avenues that I think we've sort of covered. I have a lot of questions coming in, so give me a shout if you feel like I haven't gotten, if the question hasn't been answered well enough. But I want to try to see how many people we can hit during this time.
Okay. I'll keep the answers super short.
And we'll go from there. I do have an interesting question from Kimberly. Hi, Kimberly. She says, you mentioned gender for auditions. What happens with voices like mine when I'm female but sound like male? That is an interesting scenario. I want to try to find you, Kimberly. Can I unmute you, Kim? Is that okay? And go from there. I'm gonna unmute you. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Okay, so do you want to expand a little bit on are you experiencing issues in this department where you feel like your voice isn't falling into where it should be?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of like David mentioned, when you're doing auditions, you're looking for gender, but if you're looking for a female role, I may not fit that. I'm like, where do I actually fit in that? Because I am female if I'm going for the female role, but you're looking for a female voice. Does that make sense? No, maybe not.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So I mean, so Kimberly, and it's a really interesting question, and thanks for speaking up because it's helpful to hear your voice. So the thing is to always just focus on what you do well and naturally, and that's your voice type, and that's what you market. I think the key thing for you is two things. Number one, understand that there is some work out there for you. I mean, there's some work out there for virtually everyone, right? You know, this is an industry where clients ask for all voice types. So it becomes incumbent upon you to market yourself in such a way that clients know when to call upon you. So that's really the key thing, because everyone has a unique voice. And whether you're a female with a sexy voice or more of a stereotypical male sounding voice, or whatever the voice is, you have to communicate it clearly enough to a client so they know when to hire you. A question that came up last time we did Ask Me Anything, we were talking about sort of marketing, and in one of my answers, I told the people who were on Zoom that day 2 weeks ago that we are, as a recording studio, as a casting department, we are inundated with voice actors sending demos. I mean inundated. The analogy I gave, and I will repeat from 2 weeks ago, is if you open up your mailbox and you get every day 10 different flyers for pizza restaurants. If you get 10 of them every single day and they all have the exact same words, best pizza, free delivery, large cheese for under $10. Like if they all have virtually the same message, you stop looking at them. And generally it is the voice actors who can brand themselves who will do better, because you don't save 10 of those pizza flyers every single day. You don't stack 10 up every single day. If you receive 10 of them every day, you wouldn't say that would be 70 in a week. And we do the same with voice actors. We don't save them all because we're not going to save 70 a week. We probably get way more than that. It's when someone comes to us and says, my voice is special in this way, or I specialize in this type of lingo. I speak this language. I do this differently. I specialize in an interesting genre. When they brand themselves, when they make it clear what it is that they do differently than perhaps everyone else, then we know where to put them in our library, in our database. And when a client says we're looking for a voice like this or like that, then we know what keywords to search for that voice actor. So back to you, it becomes critical for you to to market yourself, you need to be eloquent and find the right words to describe your voice. I mean, I can always ask about that at some other point. Someone just wrote, "Your voice is so beautiful, Kimberly. I can totally imagine a character sounding like you." So that's
Oh,
lovely. People
thank
like
you.
your voice. And yeah, of course. So yeah, clarify it, make sure you clarify it. I would also go as far as saying that if you're casting for a female job,
Hmm.
anyone who's listening to the casting selects, right, the casting team, they may not, or may not even think that you sound male, because they're expecting to hear a female. And if you cast for, or if you audition, I should say, for a male part, they may not even think anything, because they're expecting to hear male voices. So you theoretically have that many more auditions you can audition for. So that's pretty cool.
Is it also, David, I was thinking about it, like when I started my training and everyone was like, you sound really young. And I was like surprised, because I feel like I'm a trained performer and I have a, sonorous voice. But they were like, no, you sound like a millennial, da, da, da. And that was surprising to me. And I wonder if sometimes that age is something that they're more focused on within your, that like you read as this.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah, it just really depends. But I agree, and it's actually super sweet. Carrie, you're awesome saying, like, because Kimberly, you have an awesome and beautiful voice, and that there's like, and I think that that's the thing that David's speaking to is seeing what your strengths are per very specific auditions, and leaning into that I think is awesome. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Um,
Kimberly, if you ever want to have a like sit down and talk, let our office know. I might be able to help you with some branding, some
yes.
marketing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very good. Okay, so so Terry is asking also, can we discuss more on home studios and the absolutely necessary stuff? We talked a little bit about the performance, but then we didn't get further. As mentioned, they're big right now, and Carrie's agents are being asked for, please ensure talent that are submitting to have a broadcast quality home record setup, Source Connect or ISDN capabilities. And Carrie gets a lot of animation auditions through their agent. So yeah, so let's just start from the beginning there. And David, a little bit more on the necessary stuff. And what do you think about broadcast quality, Source Connect, ISDN, that kind of thing?
Going back to the first part of that question, you need a quality microphone, and these days you can absolutely get some quality microphones which are USB. You need a quality sound booth, and that is absolutely critical. And I would say probably the most important aspect of your studio would be a quality place to record. You need an area to record where there's absolutely no echo or voice resonance. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you buy the greatest microphone in the world and have the greatest voice and read super well, but there's echo in your recording, you're not going to get work. Um, that is the case 99.9% of the time. The only time that would be an exception is if you are being brought into a professional studio to record. But that's not even happening these days, right? You're not going into professional studios. So everyone is recording, virtually every voice actor is recording virtually everything from their home studio. So pad your walls, hang up moving blankets, sleeping bags, pillows, nail them to the walls, do what you have to do. Make sure your room is quiet. I will expand upon the acoustics. There are two things you're looking for. You're looking for soundproofing and sound absorption. And they're such different things, but I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between them. Soundproofing means that there's no extraneous noise coming onto your microphone. No sirens from outside, no kids running around the house, no phone, no air conditioners rumbling. You need to soundproof your recording so it's only your voice and nothing else. Sound absorption means that you pile on those thick blankets on all of the walls and the ceiling and the floor so there's no echo. So you want material that absorbs the sound of your voice and stops it from bouncing around. So you need the recording area, which I just spoke about. You need the microphone, which I mentioned. You need assuming you record a USB direct into your computer, you need a quality pair of headphones. You need professional or broadcast quality headphones, a music stand, mic popper. I mean, I think that's really about it these days. It's the barriers of entry are really minimal these days. It's amazing. I think that answers the question.
Yeah,
That's
I'm seeing Carrie talk about the apogee mostly and a mini studio in your closet. I think right now, if you're sort of beginning or haven't been operating out of a home studio, I think David's thoughts of like, yeah, whatever you need to do to make a quiet space and working with an apogee, if that's what you've got. I mean, this is all great stuff. Oh, I'm so glad that helped, Carrie.
Oh, wait. Sorry, Siobhan, but there were two other parts of that question, which I just remembered. One
Okay.
is broadcast quality. Yes, you absolutely need broadcast quality. Once again, you're recording from your home studio these days. It has to be broadcast quality. If you're not sure what that means, take our home studio 101 class. Seriously, I don't know, it's $50 or something, whatever the class costs. It's taught by Dan Friedman, who is awesome and knows his stuff. And the other question was regarding some type of system so you can have your clients listen into your recording, whether that is done by telephone patch or Zoom or Skype or Source Connect. There are all different ways for clients to connect. I would not invest money into any of those systems until you know you have clients who need them, because a lot of clients are absolutely fine having you just talk on your telephone. It's amazing how often that happens. So here, my phone's beside me. So if I was at my microphone, I'd put my phone right next to me, go onto speakerphone, and then the client goes onto their phone and they listen to you record and they can direct. The problem is that if they make any noise during your recording, then their noise is coming out of your phone, getting onto the microphone. So you have to tell your clients to make sure, oh, my phone rang at that exact moment. You have to make sure that your client hits mute on their phone when you're recording. But I mean, that's how so many sessions are done. Skype is great also. Skype can crash, and Skype is difficult to patch through a studio. Zoom, of course, as we're doing now, can work. Source Connect is great. It's made for recording studios. It's not that expensive, just like IPDTL. They're competing formats that the internet. But until you have a client who says they need Source Connect or IPDTL, I would not spend the money on them. I think now I'm done.
I think that's good. And Carrie, I just posted our class schedule because you were like, I need to get in on that class, and it's totally worth it. I'm a big Dan Friedman fan, and I am less confident with things like, figuring out all my tech. It's a lot all at once. So like, I'm glad people are wanting to talk about all of that. Okay. Here we go with Ellen. Ellen is saying that she's been hired for her first audiobook with Audible. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, that's wondering if it's okay to renegotiate a PFH amount if the project is taking longer than I had thought it would. Finding the producer is not always responsive when I have a question regarding the direction of the project. On another subject. Okay, let's tackle that question first. David, what do you think? Yeah.
So first, let me explain to everyone. PF is, if I assume that's what you said, right? Per finished hour. That's what that initialism stands for. Was it? It's not like you said PFA, but I assume it was PFH. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I'm
PFA.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
PFH.
Yeah, so just to bring everyone else up to speed, there are, as I calculated just about 2 weeks ago, there are 11 different ways to charge for voiceover. We're coming out with a new rate card, which will list them. And one common way is per finished hour, PFH. So you tell a client, I'm going to charge you X dollars, a set amount, let's just say $100 to use a round number, for every hour of audio that I submit to you, that I provide to you. And this is just like you hiring a painter to paint a room, and a painter says, I charge $100 a room. Well, if a painter charges $100 a room, you don't care how long it takes the painter to paint that room. You just know that you, the client, are paying $100 for the painter to complete one room. Well, here in this world, when you record, sometimes you charge the client per finished hour. I'm getting a lot of echo.
Okay, I'll mute Ellen for now. Maybe that'll help.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's gone. Thanks for that, Siobhan. So here you're charging your client per finished hour. So if you supply to them 1 hour of completed audio, you charge $100 or whatever your set rate is. And on average, when you are brand new to voiceover, you can assume that you'll have a 6-to-1 ratio, meaning it will take you 6 hours to complete 1 hour of audio. That means that if you're given 1 hour of audio, 50 pages of a script or whatever it happens to be, you may look through it once, and that takes some time. Maybe it takes an hour to kind of read through it once to yourself, to familiarize yourself with the copy. Then you record it once and you make some mistakes. You go back, you record it a second time. Now you're up to 3 times. 3 hours rather of work. You go back, you make some edits. Now you're up to 4 hours. Then you start editing all of the content, and then you save it as a file and you upload it. Next thing you know, that 1 hour of audio is taking you 6 hours to complete. So the client is still just paying $100, even if it takes you 6 hours or 10 hours. Well, sorry, I don't recall the name of the person who asked the question. It is a great question, and thanks for it. But if you come up with a set amount, if you tell the client, this is what I charge, there are very few times that I think it's kosher to go back to that client and request more money. I want to say a whole lot of things about this, and this will not be a short answer. Number one, if you go back to the client and request more money, it's possible that they're going to be pissed at you and they won't hire you again. So you might say, well, this is my first audiobook, and yes, it's taking me longer, but I'm all new to this. So that's one of the reasons why it's taking me longer. Quick sidetrack, as you become more experienced at this, you get that ratio down from a 6-to-1 to probably a 5-to-1, and eventually one day to a 4-to-1. And I know some voice actors who swear to me that they can get things done in about a 2.5-to-1 ratio. That's working pretty efficiently. But that's cool if you can complete an hour of audio in 2.5 hours. Anyway, back to the point. So if you go back to your client now and say, hey, I want more money, yeah, they maybe look at you negatively. Just like if the painter came back to you and said, I told you $100 for the room, I'm halfway through your room, but I'm gonna have to charge you more. You might say, dude, you told me $100, you're halfway through my room, you can't change your price now. But there are some reasons why it may make sense to go back to the client. One is if they had not supplied you with a manuscript or the actual text to look at. And so therefore they described the text to you and didn't tell you how complicated the text was. That might be a reason to renegotiate. So in other words, you could go back to the client and say, look, usually I charge this $100 per hour per finished hour. The manuscript or the information you gave me did not mention that it's all medical and scientific verbiage, and I have to keep looking up pronunciations rather in the dictionary. It's taking significantly longer. It's taking me 50% longer, but I'd like to just split the difference with you and add on 25% of the price. I mean, you may find a reason that is, I think, legitimate to go back to the client and ask for more. Otherwise, client, and especially if they can hand you more work, you may want to suck it up. It's your job, your responsibility as a voice actor to provide a quote up front based on the information you have. So unless the information you have is incorrect, then I don't really think there's a reason to change your price.
He's saying, we made our bed.
Yeah, you sleep in it.
Ella has one more tag on this, or a separate subject, but she was asking, she said, I need help on plosive words. Is there a way to learn how to speak plosive words in a better way, or should I try and edit the plosive sound? Can relate. David, what do you think what's your shortcut answer to help us manage our plosives better?
You can absolutely manage your plosives. First of all, some people may not know what plosives are. I would do a show of hands, but I have 3 pages of people here. So a plosive is a loud P. Microphones will distort if too much air hits them. One of the qualifications on a microphone is how much air pressure can it withstand without distorting. And if you walk up to a typical voice actor's microphone and go into it, or if you say the word popcorn loudly, that has such air coming out of it that it will distort the microphone. All of you can do is put your hand in front of your mouth and say popcorn, and you'll feel a burst of air. I don't see anyone doing it. I see 2 people doing it. You'll feel a burst of air, and that can distort the microphone, and you get a terrible, grainy, distorted sound just for that 10th of a second. And that is a sound that you do not want on your recording, and it's an unprofessional sound if you have that. So what you can do is purchase a pop stopper. It looks like a woman's nylon stretched in a round circle that goes between your mouth and the microphone. You can make one at home. If you look on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find videos on how to make them at home, or you can buy them for probably anywhere from $20 to $40 online. Second thing you could do is lower lower the bass on your recordings. Most humans, most at least American English speakers, most humans, in fact, we don't have much frequency below 100 hertz in our voice. So you can sort of take your equalizer and lower some of the low end, and that will get rid of a lot of popping. Most importantly, though, don't use vocal tension. And that was part of the answer to the very first question today. Don't speak with tension. And if you speak without tension, you probably won't pop anyway. So if you walk up to your microphone and you're reading a script and you push your voice too hard, those P's will be loud and you will distort the microphone. You will have popping or plosives. So practice words like popcorn and things. What you can do, and this sounds very, very weird, is say a word like popcorn into your microphone, but change the P for an H. So say hopcorn. There are two P's in that word. I'm talking about the first P. So say hopcorn. And put your hand in front of your mouth and you feel virtually no air come out when you say the H. Well, then slowly transition into a soft P. Slowly crossfade from that H into a P. Practice it. Maybe say the word popcorn with an H, and then the next time you have 80% H and only 20% P, and then say it again, 50% H and 50% P, and little by little get to the point that you can put the P in there, but just without popping. Or should I say without popping? I'm not sure if you guys can hear it distort there.
I've never tried to slow fade myself before, and
Yeah, that's cool, huh?
that was awesome. I hope that's helpful, Ellen. I saw people doing it with me because I was like, wait, this is wild. But that's awesome. I want to hit up my friend Jeff. Jeff, you asked, I posted in the chat the office number for you to give us a buzz, but he was very broad question, and probably several folks in this chat could chime in as well, but he's just asking, how is audiobook narration obtained? So
how is narration work obtained?
Audiobook narration work.
Sorry, I totally I was reading a question and I lost it for a second. Sorry. Yeah. Audiobook work is one of the 27 genres as we sort of classify the industry. And like any genre, you just have to find where the clients are, who's hiring, who's casting, and reach out to those people. Of course, there are also online casting sites and recording studios and production houses you can always go to. But if you want audiobook work, then do a search online and find out where the authors are. For audiobooks, look at ACX, which is an audiobook exchange. It's an audiobook exchange. ACX is an online casting site just for introducing or matchmaking, I would say, audiobook authors and voice actors who narrate audiobooks. A great place to start. You'll find a lot of authors who are looking for free voice actors to narrate their audiobooks, or paying them just a very, very small hourly fee, or just getting a percentage of sales, which could earn you like $1 or $5 for each book that they sell. And I've heard a lot of audiobook narrators say, oh, that's horrible, that's cheap. And yeah, it is really inexpensive, but it's also experience. So there's a way to look at it at that. So yeah, there are lots of ways to get audiobook work. It's huge. It's a very big industry. It is such a big industry that there are not only are there voice actors who specialize in audiobooks and they call themselves audiobook narrators. They don't even use the word voice actor. They say that they are an audiobook narrator. But I know of quite a few audiobook narrators who specialize in a subgenre of audiobooks. I know some who specialize in sci-fi and mystery. I know some who specialize in kids' books. I know some voice actors who specialize in nonfiction, and I know some who specialize in erotica. I mean, there's all different genres out there and subgenres. So it's a very big world. Lots of work.
And of course, we're trying to rapid fire handle people, but obviously at the end of the day, a one-on-one session with an audiobook coach is going to help provide you with the depth of knowledge and their experience of how they got to where they got, better than we can in a kind of crash course Q&A. But I think but audiobook is great. And speaking of obtaining work, I do see a question from Linda. I hope you're still here, Linda. Speaking of demos, this is a good question. Where can I find scripts for my demo? It is my understanding that it is not recommended to use the scripts in the Edge Studio library, which is true.
Okay.
Tell us why.
Yeah. I just want to get back to what you said a moment ago, Siobhan, about finding an audiobook coach. We have two on our team, Carol Monda and Johnny Heller, who are just remarkable, remarkable human beings, and they're remarkable in the world of audiobook narration. And if you have any questions, they are absolutely the people that I would work with. They specialize. They live and breathe audiobooks. I mean, they truly live and breathe this industry, and they can help you with your voice, but they're also really keen on where the work is and who is hiring. And it's really interesting. Sometimes I listen to them coach a new, a new audiobook narrator, and they'll say, look, your voice is great for this genre. And last year, Scholastic Books was hiring that genre. And the year before that, Random House was hiring that genre. But they're not this year. This year tends to be Penguin Books who's hiring that genre. So let's formulate your demo and make it specific for Penguin. Or they just, man, they know where the work is right now, and their goal is to help you produce a demo, or at least consult with you, so you can get work right now, and that's the key thing. Back to this question, which was, goodness gracious, live, and I forgot the question.
Demo script.
Oh yeah, yes, demo script. Sorry, I just needed that one word. Thanks. So I think I've been cooped up in the house too long now, and today makes 4 weeks we've been quarantined at our home. So yes, you're right. I would not use the scripts on our library. We have if some of you don't know, we have a library of about 61 or 6,200 scripts on our library. They are categorized in probably 50 or 60 different categories. They are alphabetized. They're great to use for practice, not your demos. I am a firm, huge believer that the copy on your demo should be custom written for you. And well, if you work with me on a demo, I will be writing copy for you, or working with you specifically on finding just the perfect copy for your voice. Which, yeah, when you have one chance to, there's one thing between you and getting work, and that's the demo. It's critical that you have the right information on your demo, the right scripts. You could try to write it, but I've found very few voice actors who are really capable of writing their own copy and doing a professional job at it. Where else can you find copy? Certainly you can take copy off of TV commercials and documentaries, and take snippets from audiobooks. You have to make sure that you know whether or not it is legal to use the copy that you're using, and you need to be able to edit it so it works for voiceover rather than perhaps writing, like if you take something from a magazine advertisement. And even if you take something from a TV commercial, if the TV commercial is 15 seconds, you may only want 6 seconds or 8 seconds at most on your demo. You need to know how to edit that down so it works. So there's just a lot to learn.
We definitely at Edge have our students sort of generate their own copy, which is what I did for my demos. For my narration demo, one of my pieces was about an app for Facebook that destroys all evidence of your ex. So there's like no more photos, there's no more, and this was an app that I heard about, but I was like, oh, I think maybe I can make a little bit of copy that sort of suits my voice and my style. And just learning what your voice, okay, you have a youthful, more millennial soul, kind of a like destroy your ex Facebook thing might be a good angle for me. And I worked on that with Danielle Quisenberry, but it was text that I generated based on things that I learned about the strengths of my voice. So
yeah, we'll ask you. Any of the coaches at Edge will work with you very closely with you, and together we come up with the copy for your demo. We have an 18-page, two PDFs. One is 18 pages, one is 12 pages, which we give you on sort of understanding what goes into these demos, just because you have to have the right mindset. We have recording demos, we have demo preparation sessions where we focus just on the copy. I mean, it is such a key element of the demo that we put a tremendous amount of time and focus into them. It's not just about the quality of your voice and how you read. Obviously, that's critical, but also how you demonstrate it, and that's the copy. So that is, in many ways, just as important.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So Ted had asked who's using his wife's Zoom screen. So Kareen is actually Ted. Hi, Ted. Ted was talking about how he actually took an intro class with Edge back in the day and had favorable feedback, but he was just still thinking of getting started with voiceover. And he's interested in commercials and documentaries, so commercial narration work. How would you recommend I get started from down here in Florida? And what's a good beginner studio setup? So let's just break that down to your tips for getting started and your beginner studio. Unless you feel like we might be okay with this. I think we've gone over the studio. So let's
Yeah, we've done that already. Yeah.
jump into getting started for folks who are totally new.
Yeah. Get a coach. Get someone who understands the entire industry. I think that anyone should begin with a coach who has general comprehension of the entire industry. Because you can say that you think you're good for commercial. Someone's holding a sign. What is that? Mic. I don't have my glasses. Can you hold it close to the mic?
USB mic. It says USB mic broadcast quality. Okay, got it.
So here's the thing, guys. To the person down in Florida, you might be interested in commercial and documentary, but unless you know for sure that your voice is most marketable in commercial and documentary, I wouldn't spend a lot of time focusing on those genres. Work with a coach who, this is what I was saying, has a general comprehension of the entire voiceover industry, who understands all 27 genres, who's been there, done that, because they can listen to you read, they can assess your natural voice, they can take into consideration your personal interests, your lifestyle, like do you have time to narrate audiobooks or not? They can take into consideration your background contacts. They can put all these pieces of the puzzle together and help you assess which genres are most marketable for you. So, for example, and we've talked about audiobooks a few times today, so I'll mention this example, which is very funny. A woman who is unbelievably energetic, who can't sit still for a minute, and who does great in the commercial voiceover world, came to me, and I coached her, and she's full-time. She's done wonderfully, and she's been, I mean, a huge success. And she said, this is about 2 years ago, she said she wanted to get into audiobooks now. And I said to her, like, I said, Jen, you can't, like, you can't sit still. I said, you're great, I love you, but you can't sit still. How can you possibly sit still for 6 hours in a booth narrating an audiobook? She said, oh, I'll find a way. I'll make it happen. She was like shaking while she was saying it. I said, you can't even sit still for a minute while you answer a question. We look at when we assess someone who's newer to the industry, we assess, as I said, their lifestyle and so many different qualifications, so many different variables and characteristics of that person's life and personality and natural voice and ability. You know, are you a fast learner or a slower learner? Can you do characters or not? There's just so much to absorb. And so it's one of my favorite things in this industry is to work with someone on a first session and help them figure out where they might belong in this industry. So yeah, to the person down in Florida, if you were adamant on getting into commercial and documentary, like if you don't care what anyone else says, well, then work with a coach who specializes in commercials and documentaries. But if you're not convinced that is the right marketable set for you, or the right marketable genre, then work with someone, me or whomever, who just gets the broad scopes of the whole industry. Figure out where you belong and then train. And do not record a demo until you and your coach believe that you can do this stuff on your own. Because so many coaches out there, not at a studio, that I promise you, but so many coaches out there will sort of give you line reads and get you through a demo. And yeah, your demo may sound great, but then you either audition and you can't sound like your audition, or you get hired from your demo and you can't produce the same sound quality. And really all your demo is doing is misrepresenting you, and you'll never get work anyway. It's just a waste of your time and money. So work with a coach until you and your coach say, you know what, you can do this on your own. That's when you record a demo.
We we're obviously here, we're at studio, so we obviously love our coaches and our services, and we're not saying that we're the only way. We do have, for you all joining in with us, we do have a $25 off coupon code, and I've put it in the chat, and a link to just coaching sessions online, and you can request audiobook specialists or whomever whatever kind of work you're trying to get, and our education team will help get you a session with a coach. And I'm jumping around a little bit because I want to I want to make sure there's like so many awesome questions, and someone was asking about remote coaching, and then I'll go back up because I haven't forgotten you, but someone was asking about remote coaching and if it's still worth it even though sound might be distorted. Yes, okay, it was Valerie saying, can online coaching sessions be beneficial when the sound is often distorted? What do you say to that, David?
Yes. Yeah. So here's the thing, everyone. First of all, I've been a proponent for online coaching, remote coaching, way before COVID-19. 20, 30 years ago, I was telling I shouldn't say 20, 30 years. As soon as home studios were available to voice actors, so we're going back 15 years or so. From that day on, I've been telling voice actors, have remote coaching sessions. They make a lot more sense because the vast majority of voice actors record from their home studios, right? And if you are in touch with your client during the session, your client will be patching in, as we mentioned earlier in this call, they'll be patching in by phone or Skype or Zoom or Source Connect or IPTTL and so on. So you're being directed remotely. So if that's how you're going to work as a voice actor, if you're going to work at your home studio with a client directing you by phone, well, then it makes all kinds of sense to be trained in that same manner. Be trained by a coach when you're working in your home studio, being directed by phone, being coached by phone. That's the most realistic way to be trained because that's how the industry works these days. And I've come across so many voice actors who say, no, remote coaching is not for me. I want to see the person. I want to be face to face. But then it's going to suck when you get your first job and you're not used to being directed by phone. So number one, yes, every voice actor should have coaching by phone or Skype or some remote coaching. And whether or not your voice is clear is almost indifferent because any decent coach is not going to have you change the sound of your voice. Like Kimberly mentioned that she sometimes can sound like a male. Well, that's your voice. If you're coached, no coach, I don't believe any coach should tell you, well, try to sound like a woman or just try to sound like a man. Right? We're not, any decent coach is not going to tell you how to change the sound quality of your voice, unless that is you do character or animation work. But otherwise, you're going to use your natural voice. So what coaching is more about how you use your natural voice. I will say that there's work out there for probably 90% of voices, but not 90% of people can do voiceover. All right. What makes a voice actor successful is if you can use your natural voice well. And so, yeah, be coached by telephone. Totally fine. If you're not clear, that's okay. As long as the coach can hear you say the words and hear your inflection, which usually is the case. If your voice is distorted, we can still hear inflection.
Valerie's
So,
asking, yeah, she's asking, what if I don't have a home studio yet? You can still, if you have
phone, yeah, go on to speakerphone. It's fine. Or Skype.
Yeah.
Seriously.
We do
Do
sessions
it all the time.
And all you need, if you're really just beginning, it's okay to just be working on your performance. If you're like, I can't afford to set up my home studio yet, you need to start saving for setting up your home studio. That's the reality of the industry. But you can work on your performance first, and all you need is a speakerphone to be able to do that. Our coaches are equipped to work with people from all perspectives and places in their journey. And speaking of that, I have a question from Suzanne about, she was saying that she is a professional voice actor and dialect coach, Linklater teacher, awesome, love that background, but she hasn't done a lot of voiceover work over recent years. And what classes would you recommend to brush up skills, find my genre, and learn current day trends? I'm going to post our class schedule here. I would say Technique 101 is a perfect place to begin if you're trying to get to learn the basics of what you need to do. David, is there anything else that you feel like is specifically helpful right now in that position?
Yeah, our Technique 101 class certainly is helpful, but that's just technique. She's asking about what genre she fits in and what current trends are, and that's not in Technique 101, right? technique 101 is how to use your voice. So how to follow a client's direction. I would do a consultation. Uh, I would enjoy working with you. I think your background is really cool. Um, so yeah, I would just work with someone who gets, like I said earlier about the person in Florida, work with someone who really understands this industry. That's critical. So someone who understands it, not just from the voice acting side, but from the casting side. That's what you have to understand. Everything comes down to understanding it from the casting team's perspective. Like voiceover is not about what you like. Voiceover or being successful, it comes down to doing things the way the client likes it and understanding what's going through the client's head and what's going on through the casting team's um, steps. Like how do they select a voice? Why do they select different voices? What turns them off from some voice actors and why are they turned on to other voice actors? And how do they direct voice actors during the session? You need to know these things so you get the job in the first place, and then so you maintain that client. So yeah, work with someone who understands that stuff. That's what I would suggest.
Okay, David, are you cool to go to 2:10 since we started a little bit late of all the things, and we can
Yeah.
okay, we'll go to 2:10 and we'll try to. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll be doing these throughout our quarantine. So if we don't get to you today, we will get to you next time. And you can even hit me up and be like, "Oh, I didn't get my question," and I can put you in the queue for the next session. But I'm trying to keep us a little bit on the themes. Someone asked, this name is awesome. I want to say, is it like Sede? And they asked, can the studio be too dead or too quiet? We were talking about giving ourselves a quiet room. And is that for your home studio? David, is that a thing that the studio is too dead sounding?
Not really, no. Not a
Good.
concern.
Good. I love that answer. Okay, Cornelia, I hope you're still here with us. It is storming where I am. Hi, Cornelia. Oh, you're right. Your box is next to my box. Okay, so this is awesome. She says, I've been auditioning quite regularly on Mandy. I'm told my voice is excellent for voiceover work, but I never get picked. Yep, hello. I've done voiceover courses and have a voice coach. I'm wondering if it's my editing that is not good enough. I am on ACX2 and I pass quality control all the time when I send in auditions. What am I doing wrong? I'm gonna have David answer and then I'll unmic you for follow-up. Okay.
This is possibly my favorite question. I get this a lot. So what I love about what I do at work is I coach a lot of very, very well-known, very successful actors, which is cool. And sometimes they call me and they'll say, Siobhan, I feel like this question came up 2 weeks ago when we had this Ask Me Anything. They'll call me and they'll say that they should have won a job. They were sent to an audition. It was just in their wheelhouse. It was a big project, paid a lot. They really wanted the job. They were certain they'd win the job. They recorded their audition 7 times. They're sure they liked it. It really sounded good to them, and they're shocked that they never got a job. And they ask me why. And so in that case, I say, great, let's pick a time and let me listen to your audition and let me read the direction from the client. And without exaggeration, 95% of the time, I'll read the direction, listen to the first second or 2 seconds of the audition and say, of course you didn't win the job, because the way the first word was or the second word was said, they weren't following the client's direction. They weren't thinking about it from the client's perspective. And that is critical. That first impression is so key. There are ways to read the direction. You need to learn how to read the direction. So often voice actors say, oh, the direction was sort of ambiguous, or it was contradictory, or there wasn't any direction. Most of the time, if you just logically think about it, it makes perfect sense. Usually when I go through that direction with the voice actor, they'll say, like they'll have that moment when they want to hit their head and they say, oh man, I should have realized that. It's a technique you just need to learn. You just need to start thinking about it from the client's perspective or the casting team's perspective. And once you kind of figure that out, then you can do a significantly better job auditioning. And then you start winning so much more work. My job, when I work with a voice actor, I am it is as important to me as it is to them. I truly believe, for them to get work. I become so vested in their success. So when they get that first job, a couple days later and they call me, I'm like, that's awesome, right? That's what we work for. It's teamwork sometimes. And so that big thing to learn that I have to communicate to voice actors is how to see it from the client's perspective, how to understand what the client really wants. And then you can start winning. So my guess is if your audio quality is good, then you're not reading the script the way the client wants the script to be read. It could be your editing, as you asked, but that is pretty doubtful because, I mean, if you lost 1 or 2 jobs, I'd say maybe you're editing. But if you've lost a bunch of jobs and with good sound quality, a lot of clients know that they can edit on their own. So it's probably just the way you actually formulate the words. That's my guess. Your technique.
And also, as people know, thank you so much, Cornelia. You're awesome. It's also, it's also like, it's the rat race and the numbers game. And I feel like everyone on all 3 of these screens can be like, oh yeah, I know that dance of all the rejection. Yeah. That's like a very real thing. And so like over 50% of it is just that you keep doing it, which is such a mental, it's challenging, but it's also awesome. It's that, but it's also showing up for things like this that keep you in it because you're actively working constantly. That's I feel like over half of the thing. Okay. So moving on. This is all great. Okay. Thank you. I'm so glad. Okay. Speaking on that subject, someone did say that they were, I wonder if other voice actors can chime in the chat box. Someone was asking about booths that they were looking for on Amazon, and if people have like bought the booth and want to drop that in as something that they've, it was I don't remember, but if anybody has like purchased a booth, it was Sierra, been looking at booths, anyone got a favorite. If you have like a specific booth that you've ordered and is your favorite, I know we kind of like put our own together. So that is a question folks can chime in on if they have that kind of advice. Submitting auditions from home. This is Steve. How much processing should be done to the submitted file? EQ, roll off, compression, normalizing. That might be a quick answer one. David, what do you think?
Yeah, it depends on your voice, and it depends on the genre in which you're recording for. And it depends on who your client is. Everyone has to understand that there are variables. There's never one answer for anything. It always depends on so many different variables. If your client is a recording studio and they may want raw audio, and if your client is the end user, like an explainer video company, and they have no ability to process audio, they may want it fully edited. I think it's your responsibility, you the voice actor, to ask your client what it is that they want. And if it's an audition and you're not sure, then I would absolutely clean it up as much as you possibly can, make it sound as good as you can. But in general, any audio that leaves your home studio should be broadcast quality. And you should not have popping or S issues. Use your de-esser and use your popper stopper and, clean up your audio for sure. But whenever you can, ask the client what they want.
Awesome. Okay. That's perfect. Oh, David, this is a quick one too. What about Audacity, GarageBand for beginners?
They're great and they're free. GarageBand is pretty hard to edit on. It's not really made for voiceover. Audacity is much easier to use. I know personally of a lot more voice actors who use Audacity. I know of so many voice actors who use Audacity. There are lots of classes you can take on it. There probably are some for GarageBand. I just have not come across them. But at the studio, we do not use GarageBand. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I have GarageBand on my phone. I also have Audacity. But I think Audacity is more common, and I think it's probably much better equipped for voice actors. But they're both good programs. Once the audio is digital, it's just the way it's manipulated on your recording system or your recording software. And then it comes down to a matter of personal preference. But they both sound good.
There's a comment from Renee who worked with Dan Friedman. She said he's awesome. Also recommend the group sessions, especially during this time. And she was asking what online group classes are on the horizon. And I can let y'all know we have a fabulous class that I have taken myself with Simone Cleas and Jason Birmingham. I'm dropping the link in the chat. It's the Global Voiceover Market. perfect time to get into this. It's an affordable class. It's $50. These two are international powerhouses, and they book work all over the world, and they're generously offering tips and tricks as to how they were able to do that, and giving us advice on how to tap into places that are looking for us, but we don't know that they are looking for us. So that's what I would recommend. Tam, thank you. Look into it. Yes, and I'll post this. I'll post this on socials, and so you guys can watch the recordings and all of that fun stuff. So wonderful. I hope that is helpful. I think we have time for one more. Okay, this is great actually, and this is a good place to stop. So hi, Anne-Marie. She is asking and wondering if how the pandemic is affecting the volume of voiceover work happening. Great question. Go ahead, David.
Oh, I've seen in some genres a slowdown, and in other genres an increase in work out there. So some voice actors have written to me saying their workload is way down. Corporations are not spending money, or they're out of the office working remotely, or just their doors are shut, and so there's less work. Maybe that's for economic reasons these days. I could guess why. Probably we all can guess why, but then other genres are up, and I've heard from some voice actors who are getting more work as a result of the social distancing and everyone working from solely their home studios and home offices. Like anything, it depends on the genre.
Yes, it depends on the genre, and it depends on a lot of things, depending on whether it's, I feel like when everybody's struggling, when there are struggles financially, we're experiencing those ripples throughout, so it's a lot of what we're trying to do here is keep ourselves going, whether it is in practicing, in working towards your next demo, in continuing to audition. I think the voiceover industry is steadfast, and we are pressing forward, and that's what we want to help encourage y'all to do. And so okay, I am so stoked. I want to answer all these questions. I cannot get to all of us because they'll just keep coming, and then I'll feel bad. But so, my friends, thank you for being here today. This was super, super fun. I, again, want to let you know that we are offering the $25 off code for coaching with us at Edge. And the link, I'm dropping the link one more time to all of y'all. It's AMA with DG25, and you can go to our website that I've dropped here, and you can let us know what genre you want to work with, whether you want to work with David, whether you want to work with Johnny or Carol in audiobooks, for example, Dan in home studio. We're offering all of that, and I hope that this is fun. Thank you. Yes, George Lucas. You are a riot, and I want to talk to you more because your name being George Lucas is it means that you have to have a sense of humor. Thank you for coming. And one thing that I would love, if you are able to, if you're on social media and you can just give us a shout on Twitter, we're Edge Studio, on Facebook, Edge Studio, on Instagram, Edge Studio VO. And if you just give us a holler and follow us, and we'll follow you back, and just say that this was fun. We're going to keep doing them. Right, we're every other week, but if they're super big, I don't know, I'll talk to David. But so in the books right now, it would not be next Thursday, it would be the following Thursday, which is the 23rd. We'll do another one of these. And oh, here's my email. If anybody has, let me make sure I'm not private messaging people, but if anybody has questions in particular, or I don't know, just anything that you feel like I can help you with, no, that's wrong. That's not even my actual Gmail. Forgive me. I am, it's Corona time, right? So that email will get you nowhere because that email doesn't exist. This is my, the second one is my email. And, helpful, other people provided this. If you click on the dots in your chat box, you can save the chat, the 3 dots at the bottom of the chat box menu. So everybody's notes, comments, thoughts, questions, links, you can save it. And that is something that we learned as a group today. So fantastic. Okay. I think.
Sorry, I don't see the email address. And in fact, a few other people have written that too.
I sent that to the waiting room. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do this a third time because we have people in the waiting room, which is funny. Everyone in the meeting. Here we go.
Cool, thanks.
Okay.
And yeah, so fun. Great questions, everyone. Really, really interesting questions. I love this format. Siobhan, thank you so much for putting it together. Thank you all for your questions. Come next time and come with more questions. We'll answer as many as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want, use Siobhan mentioned a coupon, which is cool. Be happy to work with anyone, or any one of us at Edge would be happy to work with you.
Or
Stay well, stay safe.
yeah, stay safe. I've also dropped one more link, which is, I forgot, we've had this sale rolling, which we're kind of going to be rolling throughout this time, which is working with David towards a demo that you would record in your home studio and that we would produce and mix ourselves. And so have a look at that link, which is the David Goldberg demo package. If you're in a place where you're ready to work on a specialty demo, we can do that too. But most importantly, we're just are happy to be here with you guys. And we're, Edge is a place where we get to be social. We have this space. And so you being willing to be here with us, it means a lot to me and David. And so, yeah, thank you. Please give us a shout on socials. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, this is the Zoom applause. I love it. And I'm so grateful to you all, and see you next time. Mwah. Thank you.